in small moments, the elderly gentleman who told her about his garden, the giggling children who made every Sunday shift seem like an adventure. Each interaction was a glimmer against the cloudy sky of her own existence. Her paychecks were modest, her dreams of opening a small bakery on hold, yet she took pride in the small joys, sharing smiles and encouragement with those around her. As the clock inched towards the hungry hour, its shadow growing longer with each chime, the door swung open. In walked a family that momentarily eclipsed the golden light streaming in from the outside world. A mother, weary with the weight of exhaustion, held the hands of her two children while struggling to keep their spirited energy in check. The older child, a girl no more than 8, clutched a tin of cookies, her eyes wide as if the world held infinite possibilities. The younger boy, a boisterous 5, wriggled with laughter as his mother gently corralled him. Molly's heart ached as she watched the family approach her register. She knew that familiar look in the mother's eyes, the fragility of someone fighting to keep afloat in turbulent waters. Those early seconds were punctuated by the high-pitched beeping of her scanner as she began tallying their groceries. Bare essentials. It was clear they weren't shopping for luxuries: bread, pasta, the fragments of a modest meal. She couldn't help but wonder where their next meal would come from. What choices they'd had to make to even bring these items to the counter. The total rang out, an ominous echo in the small space, and Molly's heart sank. She was painfully aware of the weight of each dollar, the finality of the total. As the mother reached for her wallet, pulling out a few crumpled bills filled with uncertainty, Molly hesitated, her mind racing. She began, her voice almost cracking with the weight of her decision. Memories of her own tightly stretched monthly budget flooded her mind, mingling with the image of her mother whispering words of compassion into her ears during quieter afternoons. The world had always felt better when you extended a hand, when you put love into action. Before another thought could hinder her resolve, Molly reached into her own pocket, a small crumpled wad of cash, but enough to cover the difference. "I can help with that," she said, her voice confidently sincere. The mother looked shocked, an amalgamation of disbelief and gratitude flooding her features. "Are you sure?" she murmured, clutching her children closer, hope and embarrassment coiling together. Molly nodded, a warm smile spreading across her face. No one should have to choose between groceries and rent. As she swiped the last item, Molly saw the tiny flicker of relief wash across the mother's face, an echo of gratitude that would ripple far beyond that moment. It was an intangible currency that felt richer than any paycheck. For Molly, it filled the void that existed between the harsh realities of life and the warmth that lived in the corners of kindness shared. Once they finished, the family left with their groceries, the children giggling as they walked down the parking lot. Molly stood at her register for a moment longer, her spirit tethered to something far greater than herself. There was faith in giving, even when it felt like her own resources were thin. But a strange sensation danced through her heart. Those families, those smiling faces, were far more connected to her own journey than she had expected. Little did she know that their paths would intersect once more, and that this singular act of kindness would be the catalyst for life-changing news that awaited her in the days to come. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of pink and purple, Molly wrapped up her shift, feeling lighter than she had in ages. The 3 minutes it took her to walk home felt like a journey into a new horizon, the weight of the bills that had plagued her spirit receding, if only temporarily. The warmth of that fleeting connection filled her heart, igniting a spark of hope she hadn't realized she needed. The following day felt unceremonious until she spotted the mother and her children traversing the parking lot again. Her heart skipped a beat. This time, they were beaming, each face adorned with the kind of joy that was infectious. The mother waved enthusiastically, her smile radiating gratitude. "We wanted to thank you," she called out as they approached. "This is my daughter Lily and my son Ben. And I'm Alice." Molly knelt to greet the children, her eyes sparkling as she caught their energy. "Hey there, how did you like those cookies?" "Delicious," Lily exclaimed, bubbling with excitement. Ben bounced on his feet, eager to share in the conversation. We shared them with our neighbors. Alice began explaining how the small act had changed their circumstances. It turned out that their neighbor, Mrs. Thompson, was a retired baker with a heart for helping those in need. After tasting the cookies and learning of Molly's generosity, Mrs. Thompson had decided to host a small bake sale to raise funds. She invited us to help, Alice said, her eyes shining with pride. We set up a stall, and Mrs. Thompson said she would help us sell cakes and good old-fashioned cookies by crafting unique flavors. People responded so well, we earned over $2,000. Molly blinked in disbelief. That's amazing. With tender gratitude, Alice continued, I realized that kindness creates a network of support. This isn't just about my children and me, it goes beyond. You passed your kindness on to us, and now we're passing it on too. Suddenly, Molly's chest tightened with a profound realization. It wasn't merely about the creation of income or the transaction that had occurred at Matt's market. It was about connections, people pulling together in their most trying times, like threads woven tightly to form fabric, each seam strengthening the larger piece. In the following week, every encounter became tinged with that vibrant hue of hope and camaraderie. Molly made it a point to arrive early at work, contributing additional kindnesses to both familiar and new faces. She shared tips with young mothers, helped seniors find legit coupons, and lent a hand when fellow coworkers were swamped. Molly, you're like a ray of sunshine, said Tim, her supervisor, one evening as he busily restocked shelves. Have you ever thought about taking advantage of some of the management courses we offer? You have a real knack for creating a welcoming environment. Molly blinked, her stomach fluttering with hesitant ambition. She had spent years tirelessly working just to get by, never considering an upward trajectory. You think so? Absolutely. It's a natural fit for you. Your warmth and connection with customers make a world of difference here. The words reverberated through her mind long after that shift ended. The following night, Alice and the children returned, with an invitation clasped in Alice's hands. The bake sale was just the beginning. We're hosting a community picnic to build upon what we've started, a chance to bring everyone together to share what we have. We'd love for you to be part of it. Of course, Molly exclaimed, realizing this was another opportunity to reinforce the circle of kindness and connection. With newfound vigor, Molly suggested hosting a table for homemade goodies funded by Alice's bake sale. I could bake some items to contribute. Let's make it a community affair, Alice agreed. Together, they spent the week whipping up batches of delicious treats, with the aroma of warm cookies wafting through the air outside Molly's humble apartment. Friends joined in, and soon enough, the preparations turned into precious moments of connection. They laughed, shared stories of their struggles, and celebrated their resilience over mixing bowls and pans until late into the night, all while fostering deep emotional connections amongst their small network. On the day of the picnic, the town park buzzed with energy. The colorful banners flapped in the wind, laughter erupted from the children chasing each other beneath the sun-warmed trees. There, Molly found herself enveloped amongst smiling faces. She had helped create something beautiful, a mosaic of warmth pulling everyone together. But it was during the picnic that another ripple emerged. A local business owner approached her table, drawn by the aroma of cookies and the band of joyful activity. I've had my eye on you for a while, said Roger, the owner of Maplewood Bakery, an enterprise that had long been a staple in the area. Your treats are fantastic. Have you ever thought about stepping into the culinary business? Molly felt her heart race, oscillating between disbelief and excitement. I've dreamed of opening a bakery for years. I just didn't think it was possible. How about we partner? I'm looking to expand into offering baking classes, and you've got a flair for flavor. As Roger outlined his vision, Molly listened closely, feeling the doors of opportunity crack open before her. A sense of possibility washed over her like a warm light, illuminating the path she never thought was attainable. Their conversation culminated in a partnership agreement, a monetary investment that would eclipse $1,200, a lifeline beyond what she could have ever imagined. Together, we can create something spectacular for our community, Roger said, thrusting a handful of hope and ambition into her hands. The picnic continued humming around her, yet Molly felt the weight of the moment settle deep into the contours of her life. Encouraged by the friendships blossoming between herself, Alice, and the other residents, she understood that she was no longer just a cashier at Matt's market. The act of kindness she shared multiplied into a web of interdependence, propelling them all forward. As that sun dipped once more beneath the horizon, it painted a lasting image of a blossoming future. Arrayed with the funds from Alice's bake sale, the connections made at the picnic, and Roger's offer, Molly prepared to step into a new chapter of her life, no longer merely the passive observer, but the architect of her own story. The dance between kindness and transformation filled the air, and overwhelmed by gratitude, she breathed deeply into her hope. It was a chain reaction, a gilded thread woven through their lives. In that golden twilight, she realized their story was only beginning, each note of kindness promising vibrant new beginnings. The days following the picnic unfolded like butterfly wings stretching towards the sun. Molly immersed herself in her burgeoning partnership with Roger, working diligently to transform her dream of a bakery from whispering hopes into a tangible reality. Each hour spent testing recipes and learning the intricacies of the cafe business deepened her understanding of the power that an act of kindness could wield. The ring of her mixer and the warmth of the oven became her new comfort zones, much like the simple gestures that had once bolstered her shaky spirit. Word spread through the town about their culinary collaboration, and Molly found herself entrenched in the community, baking classes filling up quickly with eager participants. She infused her heart into everything she crafted: freshly baked breads, delectable pastries, and the elusive comfort of homemade treats. Each baking session became a tapestry woven with laughter, shared stories, and connections deepening with every toss of flour and sprinkle of sugar. Across town, Alice proudly watched as her children embraced Molly's kindness. Lily and Ben often joined their mother in visiting the bakery, bouncing with excitement as they waited on the sidelines while the adults made magic happen in the kitchen. They swooped up flour-dusted aprons and crinkled paper hats, embodying the spirit that had ignited their community's revival. One shining Saturday morning, as sunlight spilled across the charming town square, Molly prepared for the launch of her first baking class. Her nerves hummed beneath the surface, but she steadied herself, recalling how, just months before, she had been scanning groceries and witnessing struggles that once felt so close to her own heart. Now, she stood at the brink of something entirely new, a life fueled not only by her creativity but by the very generosity she had once shown to Alice. Minutes before their doors opened, Molly found herself lost in thought, staring at the polished kitchen equipment that had once seemed so far out of reach. A rush of gratitude filled her chest, gratitude not only for the chance to pursue her dream, but for the people who had shaped that journey. Her heart swelled with joy at the memories of Alice's surprised smile after their first encounter, and the ripple of kindness that had pushed her on this upward path. As eager participants filled the warm, inviting space, introductions melted into excitement. They happily navigated the baking process together, blending ingredients and sharing stories. Laughter resonated against tiled walls as friendships forged through shared endeavors blossomed. Molly guided each person energetically, enjoying the rapport with these faces, the very heartbeat of the community she cherished. By the end of the day, amid flour clouds and sticky fingers, women and men alike clapped for Molly, their smiles genuine and bright. She felt invincible standing in front of her makeshift class, satisfaction nestled deep within. But more importantly, the realization swept over her like a wave: this wasn't merely a class, it was a nurturing ground. Participants exchanged phone numbers, promising to gather again and bake together, creating a supportive circle much like the one that had helped Alice and her family. That evening, as the sun dipped low, painting the sky in peach and lavender hues, the significance of her journey settled in. Molly actually laughed and spoke with her children, no longer merely juggling plates but building a legacy both personal and communal. The following weeks unfurled like fresh parchment, each day unveiling further opportunities. As her client roster grew, so did her confidence. The funds she accrued transformed her life, lifting her from the shadows of that small grocery store, where she had fought to keep her head above water. One afternoon, while rearranging decorations for a baking display, she received a message that poured warm joy into her heart. The community board had approved her application for a small vendor stall at the upcoming farmers market. Excitement bubbled up as she envisioned her bright booth filled with the homemade love that had curated each baked good. It was a huge leap towards solidifying her new identity as a business owner. On the day of the market, the air hummed with the chatter of vendors setting up. Molly arrived early, and as the first rays of sun painted the scene in golden light, an invigorating thrill coursed through her veins. She crafted a colorful display, showcasing everything from buttery croissants to rustic loaves piled high. As people strolled by, reactions poured in, and Molly felt the kind of warmth that no profit could replicate. Connections blossomed, customers turned to friends. At one point, she spotted Alice in the crowd, waving cheerfully with Lily and Ben beside her, clutching bags of goodies they had bought from her stall. "Molly," Alice shouted amidst the clatter of the market. "These muffins are a hit. Thank you for inspiring us every day." Their enthusiasm echoed in her ears, a sweet reminder that every act of kindness, no matter how small, could sprout and nurture immeasurable connections. Later, when the market day dwindled and night fell, Molly counted her earnings, a small fortune that would certainly chip away at her previous struggles. More importantly, she had cultivated something